State has been dispatching us to go and operate. Without wasting much time, colleagues, I'm going to request that the President is about to leave, that you all rise and the parade commander put members on attention. Thank you, President.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Plan B. Plan B.
All right, so that's the President leaving a final briefing send-off, actually, as it were, to the police, representing, I guess, the entire police force across the country. The President meeting there with police and giving them that send-off, and the President sending them to serve the country during the coming 21 days of national lockdown. The President said that we're serious about saving lives, and that those people who try and get in the way of what this national lockdown is trying to achieve will be dealt with by the full force of the state. He said that the police are doing God's work, and officers should do right by the people of South Africa by helping them. He said that your training wasn't just about fighting crime, but also saving lives against moments such as this, facing COVID-19. And he said this is the hour for you as police officers to put the interests of South Africans first and serve them. The President also saying that he hopes, with the permission of the Police Commissioner and the Minister of Police, that he'd like to patrol alongside some of the police officers so that they can serve the public with integrity and with dignity. That's President Ramaphosa. I believe he's going to be meeting with the army shortly and sending them off, because they too will be deployed as part of this national lockdown. We take a break. We'll be back with more after this.
Yeah, so this is what happened to me. She arrived earlier.
So long ago, that's what
But that's not the light.
That's what I remember that. Oh, yeah, it's the Armed Forces Day. Yeah, that's why it's an Armed Forces Day. When you can see the day service.
Yeah, we can cross. Oh, yeah.
Okay, no more contrario,
army base where he is dressed in regalia of the South African Defence Force. As the Commander-in-Chief of the Defence Force, he's arrived and he's greeted the Minister of Military Veterans, that would be Nosiviwe Mapisa Ngakula, and the President is expected to give an address to the soldiers and to the army on the mission that they have as of midnight tonight in combating COVID-19 of the coronavirus. I seem to have lost you there, Tepiso, but the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Cyril Ramaphosa, the Commander-in-Chief, has arrived here to give the line of march for his troops in their mandate that they've been given to combat the coronavirus, which now sits at about 912 South Africans who've been infected by this particular virus and pandemic, which President Cyril Ramaphosa earlier on at the Reserve Bank, when he was done with his G20 summit meeting, had those numbers to give to South Africans. He has arrived and he will be giving Umkombandlela to the armed forces of South Africa as the Commander-in-Chief.
All right, thanks a lot for that, Samkelo. Let's ask the question, if you are able to hear me, do we know how many members of the SANDF are present and what we can expect for the briefing? Okay, I'm told that unfortunately we have lost that line to Samkelo Maseko. He is at the Doornkop military base in Diepkloof, where the President is going to give those members of the SANDF their final briefing. As Samkelo mentioned, he is there as the Commander-in-Chief. You do know that the country now existing under very special circumstances, the state of national disaster having been declared. only special categories of people who will be exempted from this lockdown, those in the security service, such as police, traffic officers, military, medical personnel, soldiers that you see there, and other persons necessary for our response as a country to the COVID-19 virus, and individuals who will not be allowed to leave their homes, exempt under strictly controlled circumstances, such as to seek medical care, buy food, medicine, and other supplies, or collect a social grant. So you may not leave your home unless you are going to do that. And the president also telling us that temporary shelters that meet the necessary hygiene standards will be identified for homeless people. Sites are also being identified for quarantine and self-isolation of people who cannot self-isolate at home. Our reporters are across the Gauteng area monitoring some of those. So we will be going to our reporters to tell us what the situation there is. All shops and businesses will be closed except for pharmacies, laboratories, banks, essential financial and payment services, including the JC, supermarkets, petrol stations, and healthcare providers. And I note that an announcement has been made of the kind of things that you can buy during this lockdown. So those of you thinking that you would buy items which fall under sin taxes, better think again. If you haven't done that by now, just know that you won't be able to. Provision will be made for essential transport services to continue, including transport for essential staff and for patients who need to be managed. What you're seeing there in those visuals, members of the South African National Defence Force, as they prepare for an address by their Commander-in-Chief, that is President Cyril Ramaphosa. So as that countdown draws nearer, the health professionals are going to be on the front lines as the prevalence of COVID-19 intensifies. The health
Oi.
present for you. Present on parade is 683, sir. Stand please! Off! Get! On! One!
Ramaphosa and his SANDF dress as a commander-in-chief.
Verses 18 and 19.
Flanked by the Minister of Defense, Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, as well as the Deputy Minister there next to her. Let's take a listen.
Unfailing love to deliver them from death and to keep them alive in famine. Let us pray. Father, this evening we want to thank you, Lord, for your word. And it is clear that your word demands a declaration from us this evening. And so we declare, Lord, that we will fear you. And we declare, Lord, that we will hope in you. And indeed, Lord, we will be part of the promise that you make, that you will keep us alive in times of famine, and you will keep us alive even when we stare death in the face. Father, I pray that you will just continue to bless us, that you will continue to bless us as a nation, and we hide in you. You are our stronghold, and you are our tower, and this I pray in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen.
On! Get! On! Good on! Go! There! Good on!
Ready for your address. Then we just rolling out very soon as your address. President, say your address. Please, let's be seated. Minister of Defense, Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, Deputy Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, Secretary of Defense, Dr. Gulube, General Shoke, Commander of the SANDF, and members of the National Command, officers, members of the media. I'm pleased to join all the soldiers of the Republic of South Africa tonight. This is an important evening, not only for yourself, but for the entire country. I'm dressed in your uniform as your Commander-in-Chief to signify my total support and solidarity with you as you begin this most important mission in the history of our country. Our country has never been through a period like this. This is unprecedented, not only in our democracy, but also in the history of our country. That we will have a lockdown for 21 days to go out and wage war against an invisible enemy, coronavirus. You are expected as the pride of our nation, the soldiers of the Republic of South Africa, to go out and defend our people against this virus. Your mission is mission save lives. You are required to go out and save the lives of the 57 million South Africans who live within the borders of our country. A lot rests on your shoulders. As the soldiers of our country, you took an oath that you will be faithful to the Republic of South Africa and that you will defend the people of South Africa and that you will subscribe to the highest values that are inscribed in our Constitution. That oath was not only to defend the people of South Africa against violent war, against insurrection, it was also to defend the people of South Africa against a danger like the one we have on our hands now, coronavirus. This is a virus that has engulfed the whole world. We are not the only country that is waging war against coronavirus. We are not the only country that is determined to defeat this virus. Many other countries are doing exactly what we are doing. In you, our people have a defense mechanism. You are the defender not only of our democracy, but you are also the defender of the lives of our people, their health, and their well-being. Tonight you begin the most important mission of your calling as soldiers, to give life to the people of South Africa, and it is for that reason that I say your mission is to restore the lives of the people of South Africa. That is what you are called upon to do. You are called upon to go out and support our police, work with them, walk amongst our people, and defend them against this virus. You are required to do so in the most understanding way, in the most respectful way, in the most supportive way. The people of our country will be looking upon you as their defenders. They will be looking upon you as the defenders of our nation, and you will need to restore trust and confidence. As it is now, when we start these 21 days, many of our people are fearful. They are doubtful. They are concerned. They are concerned about the virus. They are concerned about their livelihoods. They are concerned about the loneliness that this is going to impose on them as we confine them to their homes. They are concerned about boredom. They will be looking up to you to give them confidence that everything will be all right. They will be looking upon you not as a force of might, but as a force of kindness, as a force that is going to give them that assurance that one, they will not get the virus, and two, you will be looking after them. It is with that that I send you out to go and defend our people against coronavirus. It is with that that I send you to go and support our people, to give them that assurance, to make sure that they have confidence in our South African National Defence Force and the police. This is not a moment for scop and donor. This is not a moment for skeet and donor. This is a moment to be supportive to our people. When they see you patrol with your guns, they will be fearful, but make sure that when they see you, they see kindness of the state of South Africa. They should even get to a point where they may want to give you roses, but we will not accept roses. But we want them to know that you are there to be supportive of them. This is the most important moment. Throughout the country, our people are going to be looking up to you and our South African Police Service people for that type of great support. But I also want you to execute your task with great respect to our people, with great humility to our people. I have confidence in the people of South Africa that they are going to abide by the restrictions that we have placed on their lives in order to save their lives. This was a very difficult decision to come to, but it is a decision that had to be made to save the lives of our people. And all I have ever heard from our people has been supportive. They support the decision that has been taken. They respect the decision that has been taken. And I therefore want you to know that as you go out, you are not going into hostile territory. Our people are not hostile. They are not going to be against you. They are not going to resist you. They are going to abide by the regulations that have been issued. So as you go out, you are going to find a population that is in full support of the work that you are going to do. So I call upon you to go and execute your task to the best of your ability, but in doing so, do it in such a way that we do not violate the rights of our people, either intentionally or unintentionally. Let us execute our task with respect. I do want, after this mission, that the people of our country must look upon you as the South African National Defence Force and the South African Police Service, and know that you are the best in the world, in that you will have been supportive to them, you will have given them the assurance, and you will have assisted them in every way you can. Many of our people, as we go into this uncharted territory, are going to be uncertain. They are going to be fearful. As they are fearful, give them assurance. As they are uncertain, give them certainty that you are there to support them. Of course, there will be some who may want to take chances, who may want to test the might of the South African state. If you encounter those, nudge them in the right direction. Yes, nudge them in the right direction, but of course, if there's continued resistance, do indicate to them that they are challenging the might of the South African state. And they are challenging the leadership of this country, and they are challenging the president. And that, as a good citizen, that is not the done thing. So we expect you to go out there and give this mission your very best. And I know there are going to be moments of discomfort for you as you'll be away from your loved ones and your families. Yes, that is the life of a soldier. A soldier swears that they are going to do everything to do what is right for the people of South Africa. And it is for this reason that we are placing a lot of confidence and trust in all of you to see to it that we implement this very tough decision that our country has taken to lock down South Africa and to only allow minimal movement. It is through this that we hope and trust that we will be able to level off the incidence of infection. The infection rate has now reached 927, and in a few days we could be at 1,500. Our task is to save lives. Our task is to minimize this infection rate so that we can restore life to the people of South Africa. So tonight, as you stand here, you are the restorers of life to our people. Go out and give life back to the people of South Africa. Make sure that we save lives. Make sure that the people of South Africa are safe. And make sure that after 21 days, this country will be in a state when it can bounce back, when our people can have their life back, when our economy can begin to come back to life, when our people can begin to be active once again. You are the ones who are going to make that possible. So I send you off and say, go out and have the best of missions. This is a mercy mission. This is a life restoration mission. And this is a life-saving mission. And this is a life-giving mission. Go out and save the lives of South Africans. Thank you very much. I know you are all up to it. You are strong, you are capable, and you are able to undertake this mission. I therefore order you to go out and execute this mission with great success. Thank you very much.
Attention!
Thank you, Mr. President. You can count on us. We'll serve our country with dignity and pride. We thank you.
SANDF!
Colleagues, those that want to speak to the minister can come here.
Okay, what you see there is members of the SANDF who've just been addressed by their Commander-in-Chief, President Cyril Ramaphosa. That is at Doornkop Army Base in Diepkloof. saying to the troops really that this is a mercy mission, this is a life restoration mission, saying to them that he understands that this will also be a rather challenging time for them as they'll be away from their families, but saying as soldiers they know this, that this is deployment, and saying that there may be moments of discomfort, Simpier. And I wonder, what particularly would that be? I mean, these are hardened military professions, so I wonder, is it the spectre of being in contact with people who may test positive for COVID-19, or just especially the...
All right, stand up.
Right, and as we've seen, in as much as the president said that it'll be a moment of discomfort for the armed forces, but then the armed forces did reiterate their stance that they will be serving South Africa with dignity. And we've heard the president earlier on saying that, reading the Riot Act to those South African citizens who will not be abiding by the rules set up. Country. And Tsapiso, whether South Africans will come to terms with staying indoors and being confined to their four walls for the past 21 days, well, it's a matter that we'll have to see for the next 21 days.
Okay. So this is a question we are asking you. President had very strong words when he made the announcement, and he was saying that he wants to make it clear that he expects all South Africans to act in the interest of South African nation and their own selfish interests. SABC reporter Samkele Maseko, he is there with those singing members of the SANDF. Samkele, they seem to be reared and ready to go to observe this 21 days of lockdown. What have they said to you so far? Samkele, can you hear us? Well, we'll see if we can link to Samkele. You can see some of them wearing different colored berets that pretty much talk to the kind of missions that they've undertaken, where they've undertaken them. Some you can see the blue monarch berets that would have been in the DRC, in several other places that the South African National Defence Force has been part of peacekeeping missions, some of them various aspects of the military ladder. So
Army officers there in a jovial mood, ready and raring to go as South Africa will get into a lockdown in the next 4 hours and 4 minutes.
Forces, they are jovial in the work that they are doing here. They've been addressed by their commander-in-chief in President Cyril Ramaphosa. Hello? 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 Hello?
Of our members to do just what they have been asked to do. You heard yourselves that the president has given the orders, and the orders are very clear.
Yes, Bobatulana, EWN Minister, when the president says look at them as beacon of hope, there are those who are worried because it's the first time in South Africa where domestically the army is deployed. There are those who are concerned. What's your message to them?
One, we're fighting an enemy which is invisible. We don't know where this thing comes from. We don't know where it is. We don't even know the name. What we know is that it's COVID-19. So what is important, we have hope in the ability of our members. We believe our members are a disciplined force. As you know, once you talk defense force, once you talk army people, you're talking about discipline. They are very disciplined. The fact that they could stand here now and be addressed at this time of the night talks to their commitment to the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, to the flag of the Republic of South Africa, and the oath they have taken. So we think that by tomorrow when people wake up, they'll be there in full force and they'll do what is expected of them.
Minister, it's Connie Tanda from the Sunday Times. There was a bit of concern about resources, whether it's just enabling the soldiers to do their work, but also the number of soldiers. Can you just perhaps take the country in your confidence about whether the SANDF is adequately resourced during these 21 days?
It can never be adequately resourced. As you know, budget votes, and even when we appear before the portfolio committee, you've also had the portfolio committee itself calling on government to provide more resources to the South African National Defence Force, the Department of Defence as a whole actually. But we are saying, in spite of all that, now there is a challenge. There is work to be done. Our people need to be defended. And the Defence Force being the last line of the defence of the Republic of South Africa, its people, the Defence Force must come out. Resources or no resources. Beyond this, we will emerge and we will survive.
Minister, from the SABC, Minister, is there any discussions of extending the mission that the armed forces have beyond the 21 days? Are those discussions being had? Because you've had the Premier of Gauteng, Premier David Makura, encouraging and saying that citizens and those who reside in Gauteng should not move outside the province and go to other places because he can't guarantee that after 21 days they will be allowed back into the province. Is there any talk of that nature?
Nothing. We haven't had that kind of discussion. In fact, whatever decision will be taken at whatever point, if there's a change, it would have to be informed by an assessment of health workers on the ground and the Minister of Health. So we believe for now, the 3 weeks which the President has asked us to lock down, that it will yield the necessary positive results. If it doesn't, then there's another matter. At that point, the National Command Council will discuss and take a decision.
Minister with the SABC, by any chance, do we have the number of those who are deployed on the ground?
No. You know why it's a no? The reason why it's a no, we don't have the numbers of people who are deployed. It is because each situation is assessed on the basis of the developments on the ground. For now, what we have members who are on parade here who are being deployed in this province of Gauteng. Countrywide, we also have members on standby who probably have started rolling out now to the different areas. We also have members who are based, who are resident at the bases, who are on standby for call-up in the event a need arises.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Hotspots that maybe these weeks are going, or it's just random, sporadic?
There can't be random, sporadic deployment. In one of the briefings, we received information that the epicenter of this pandemic here in Gauteng, for instance, is Sandton and Bedfordview. Now, once it's in Sandton, we should worry about our people in Alex and the conditions under which they live. Bedfordview, you should also remember, around Bedfordview, you have what is an informal settlement in Germiston called Cyril Ramaphosa informal settlement. So we have to do everything to focus on, in the main, on those areas. Of course, it is a concern that there are people who have left the Gauteng province yesterday, who have gone back to their provinces because we're worried about the spread of the virus. It could be that as they are leaving, they'll get there and actually transmit the virus.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Final question, if I can.
Come through, Gavin, come quickly.
Govan from ENCA here, Minister. Just to clarify, if the soldiers find South Africans loitering around in the streets, are they going to advise them to go back into their homes, or will they arrest them?
They will advise, and hopefully people will not defy. I don't think people should really be provocative, because if you don't want to comply with the regulations which have been set out, then honestly you are testing and challenging the state itself. And the purpose here is to protect our people from the virus.
Thank you very much, Minister. One last question.
Minister,
quickly.
what happens, for instance, when South Africans defy?
South Africans can't defy right now because all of us are anxious about what is this monster we are dealing with? What is this thing we are dealing with? Why is it that all of a sudden I can't hug you? Why is it that all of a sudden I can't kiss you? Why is it that I can't kiss my grandchildren? Because of something which I can't see. It's invisible. So there's a lot of fear out there. Never mind that we've not had deaths here in South Africa, but people are very worried about this virus. So our people, I believe, will take responsibility and show that they are responsible citizens by complying with the regulations, not only complying with the regulations, but make sure that really they don't test the police and the South African National Defence Force.
But what mechanism, how far can the Defence Force go?
They will enforce the law and they will engage until it gets to that point. It gets to that. Of course, there'll be education, but it will get to that point where a policeman or a woman or a soldier will then say, I've been negotiating with you, just move.
So there will be time for scope and donor.
It's not scope and donor. No. There's no scope and donor. I did explain this yesterday. We're not in a situation of instability here, of lawlessness, of ungovernability. We are in a situation where we want to protect ourselves from something which we don't know. So I think that it will be okay. Our people are receptive. Our people are happy. Of course, you do have few people who are sending fake videos. For instance, today I received the convoy which went to Limpopo for the Armed Forces Day on the 21st of February. People are saying it's a convoy of soldiers moving from here to the deployment areas of tonight for the lockdown. And it's not true. And we know that. And people are asking, Chief, why all this? What war are they going to fight? Look, the war is against an invisible enemy. We don't even know where it comes from and how it started. We hear people talking, but we don't know how it started. We don't even know how it got here and how we found ourselves with a statistic of more than 900 people who are infected.
Minister, thank you very
much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Papa.
Well, there you have it from the Minister of Defence, Nosiviwe Mapisa Nqakula. In just a moment, Tsepiso will be speaking to Samkela Maseko about what the outcomes of that impromptu press briefings were, as well as the response from some of the soldiers after that address by the Commander-in-Chief. We have breaking news that just came in, is that SABC has confirmed the case of coronavirus at its Northern Cape Provincial Office. In a statement released this evening, the public broadcaster said that as a precautionary measure, it would close its Kimberley
The president is essentially saying that the mission of the soldiers and the army is to go out and save the lives of South Africans, with the army and the South African police service and the government fighting an invincible virus which is ravaging South Africans and the globe as a whole. The president is saying that South Africa is not the only country to take this route of using the soldiers and the army to try and combating the spread of this COVID-19 virus, saying that they need to save the lives of South Africans. Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, the Minister of the Minister of Defence and Military Veterans, going as far as to saying that Sandton and Bedfordview are one of the hot epicenters of this particular pandemic in the country, and in particular in Gauteng, saying that they are now worried that if Sandton is the epicenter of this virus, it may spread to the people of Alexandra. President Ramaphosa going on to saying that this is not the time of scop and donor for the armed forces, and that South Africans are receptive, and there will be those who will try and challenge the might of the army and the might of the state and the might of the president. The president saying that eventually, after various negotiations with those who may try to challenge the might of the state and the might of the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, which is the president, the police will nudge them in the right direction. Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, the minister, saying that the armed forces and the soldiers must exercise maximum restraint when it comes to the amount of force that they use, that they must be patient until they try and nudge those who may be restricting the enforcement of the armed forces on their side.
Pains to be very clear about what is happening now. She said we have not seen the deployment of the army just yet. I suppose that happens at midnight tonight. But she also emphasized that the SAPS will be playing a leading role and the army a supporting role, correct?
Yes, indeed. The president and the minister are very clear that the army is going to be playing a supporting role to the African police service, whom the president went to speak to earlier on with the Minister of Police, Bheki Cele, in Pretoria, to try and urge them to say that they must go out and save the lives of South Africans. The soldiers will essentially be supporting the work of the police force across the country. So the main troops on the ground is going to be the SAPS, but obviously the armed forces will also be there, as in the South African army led by their commander-in-chief, whom has said that he is sending them out now to try and go out and save the lives of South Africans.
All right, so what do we know about what's about to proceed now, Samkelo? You're in Doornkop at the moment, and we also know, just in terms of the people that are there, is it a full battalion? Are there sub-units, where they're going to go, etc.?
Well, Tapi, so what we do know is that the armed forces now are going to their various points of deployment, as led by their commander-in-chief, who's sent them out to go to South Africans. They are leaving the Doornkop base. They are going to their respective places of deployment, as designated that they have to start with their deployments as of midnight today, when the lockdown of South Africa starts, which has been ordered in this national case of disaster by President Cyril Ramaphosa. So they're going to various points of deployment from this base. Others are leaving from other bases where they are based, and there will be others who will be stationed in those various bases in case reinforcements are needed in certain areas and parts of the country, with the SAPS being deployed into other areas as well. But from here, they are going to their respective points of deployment across the country. This is the first of its kind in a democratic South Africa, where the armed forces, the SANDF, is deployed internally in the country to try and deal with the disaster that is ravaging across the country, with President Cyril Ramaphosa saying that this particular pandemic within the next days to come could reach numbers of 1,500 people being infected and affected by this particular pandemic. As it stands, you've got 927 South Africans being infected and affected by this particular pandemic. But the armed forces, after being addressed by the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, President Cyril Ramaphosa, are going to their respective points of deployment now, and their deployments effectively kickstart at midnight tonight, when when the lockdown is particularly affected and comes into law as gazetted by the South African government.
Samkela, I wonder if you had a chance to speak to any members of the SANDF, again, just in terms of the context. It is, as you say, a state of a national disaster, which is very different from Section 37 of the Constitution, which is a state of emergency. That difference, very important. How do they process it in terms of when they're going out there to do their work?
Well, Tapisha, they are saying that they've been given clear instructions by the minister and by their commander-in-chief of the work that they are sent out to do, that they're not going into a hostile environment. They are going into an environment where they're going to protect South Africans when it comes to this particular scourge and pandemic that is ravaging people across the globe. They are saying that they are looking forward to helping South Africans, and they look forward to being received warmly by many South Africans on the ground, saying that they know that they may be going into areas where people may be scared of the various weapons or machine guns that they may be carrying, but they are calling on South Africans not to be scared. They are not there to attack them or to scope and plunder them, but they are there to protect their livelihoods, and they are there to protect their interests so that they are not infected and affected by this particular pandemic, so that they can, and all South Africa, and they, as deployed by the army and they members of the African Defence Force and the SAPS, can go back to their ordinary lives as well, and that the ordinary civilians in the country can go back to their normal livelihood and not be locked in their homes in this current lockdown, is to try and prevent the spreading of this COVID-19 virus. But at this point in time, they are saying that they've got their own fears, but they are also looking forward to this particular mission that they've been given by the Commander-in-Chief. You saw them singing and being joyful once the Commander-in-Chief was done with addressing them and giving them a command to go and save the lives of South Africans and to exercise maximum restraint on when it comes to dealing with those who may be restricting and not allowing themselves to be put into order.
Thanks a lot, Samkele Maseko, our reporter, speaking to us there at Doornkop military base in Diepkloof, where the Commander-in-Chief, President Cyril Ramaphosa, spoke to them earlier on, saying that this is a mercy mission, this is a life restoration mission, which they will begin at exactly midnight tonight. So the Free State Department of Health saying it's ready to deal with